Pakistan's Bhutto assassinated. Attack jeopardizes elections. Path to democracy in nuclear-armed nation. Pakistan opposition leader Benazir-Bhutto was assassinated Thursday in a suicide bombing that also killed at least 20 others at a campaign rally. The death of the charismatic former Prime Minister threw the campaign for the January 8th election into chaos and confusion and created fears of mass protests and an eruption of violence across the volatile South African nation, which has nuclear weapons and a support base for Muslim extremists. Pakistani troops were put on red alert across the country as President Musharraf blamed terrorists for Bhutto's death. Bhutto's supporters erupted in anger and grief after her death, attacking police and burning tires and election campaign posters in several cities. At the hospital where she died, some smashed glass and wailed, chanting slogans against Musharraf. At 6:16 p.m., she expired, said a member of Bhutto's party. She has been martyred, added another party official. Bhutto was 54. A party security advisor said Bhutto was shot in the neck and chest as she got into her vehicle. Then the gunman blew himself up. No group has claimed responsibility. An Associated Press reporter at the scene of the bombing could see body parts and flesh scattered at the back gate of the park where Bhutto had just spoken. He counted about 20 bodies, including police, and could see many other wounded people. The road outside was stained with blood. People screamed for ambulances. Others gave water to the wounded lying in the street. The clothing of some of the victims was shredded, and people put party flags over their bodies. Security had been tight, with hundreds of riot police manning security checkpoints with metal detectors around what was Bhutto's first campaign rally since returning from exile 2 months ago. Parties across the country are stepping up campaigning for the January 8th elections after a Muslim holiday late last week and a holiday on Tuesday for the birthday of Pakistan's founder. Musharraf convened an emergency meeting with his senior staff where they were expected to discuss whether to postpone the elections, an official at the Interior Ministry said. Western allies had hoped the elections would restore stability in a nuclear-armed country vital to the battle. The three-way race had pitted Bhutto against the party of another former prime minister and a party that backs Musharraf, who took power in the 1999 coup. Sharaf and Bhutto had talked of an alliance, and Sharaf on Thursday spoke to Bhutto supporters outside the hospital saying, "Benazir-Bhutto was also my sister, and I will be with you to take the revenge for her death. Don't feel alone, I am with you. We will take the revenge on the rulers." U.S. heavily invested in Pakistan. Bhutto's return to the country after years in exile and the ability of her party to contest free and fair elections had been a cornerstone of BUSH's. Yes, he's the creature. Yes, he is a creature. Policy in Pakistan, where U.S. officials had watched Musharraf's growing crackdown with increasing unease. Those concerns were compounded by the rising threat from Al-Qaeda and Taliban extremists, particularly in Pakistan's largely ungoverned tribal areas bordering Afghanistan, despite the fact that Washington had pumped more than $10 billion in aid into the country in the last few years, possibly even more than that. Irritated by the situation, Congress last week imposed new restrictions on U.S. assistance to Pakistan, including tying $50 million in military aid to State Department assurances that the country is making concerted efforts to prevent terrorists from operating inside its borders. Inside its borders? How about the whole country? No, this situation is spiraling out of control, day by day. This is not a good sign. And yes, the United States, America, it means something for this country. There's a very high probability that one of the real terrorists could possibly get a hold of a nuclear weapon sometime in the future. And guess what they're going to use it on, or who they're going to use it on. Yes? It's going to make 911 look pretty small. It's coming. Yes. This is another sign of the last days, and there are many of them. Multitudes and multitudes of end time signs. Period.